The photo fell out of a book no one had opened in years, and the child in it wasn't any of us. On the back in her handwriting were said, "Last month after my grandmother." That was it. No details, no stories before my grandfather. As if her life only began the day she married him. The attic smelled like dust and lavender. Grandma used to tuck dried lavender sachets into every storage box. I sat cross-legged on the wooden floor flipping through old photo albums, black and white snapshots, Christmas mornings, my dad missing his 2 front teeth, Grandpa smiling in his mechanic uniform. Normal, predictable, safe. Then I found a leather-bound journal wedged behind a trunk. The cover cracked when I opened it, and that's when the photograph slipped out. It landed face up on the floor. A younger version of Grandma stared back at me. She couldn't have been older than 20, her hair longer, her smile softer, and in her arms, a baby, no older than a year. Dark curls, round cheeks, tiny hand gripping her collar. I froze because I had memorized every family baby photo, and that child was not my father, not my aunt, not my uncle, not anyone I knew. My heart started pounding. I flipped the photo over. Her handwriting curved across the back. My first reason to survive. No date, no name, just that. I sat there for a long time staring at those words. First reason, survive what? Grandma had always said she grew up poor but proud. She never mentioned tragedy, never mentioned loss, and definitely never mentioned another child. I went downstairs with the photo trembling in my hand. My dad was at the kitchen table sorting paperwork. "Dad," I said carefully, "who is this?" He barely glanced at it. "I don't know. Probably a cousin." "No," I said quietly. "It's Grandma." He took it then, studied it longer. His forehead creased. I've never seen this before. That night, none of us slept well. The next morning, I returned to the attic alone. If there was a photo, there had to be more. More pictures, more evidence, more truth. I reopened the leather journal. Most pages were blank, until the middle, a single entry, dated March 14th, 1963. They say I should forget. They say it will be easier. But how do you forget the only thing that kept you breathing? My throat tightened. If I leave him here, he will live. If I keep him, we both might not. The room felt suddenly small. Leave him. My mind raced. Was she forced to give him up? Was she unmarried? Shame in the 1960s was a weapon. Unwed mothers were sent away. Babies placed. Stories buried. I kept reading. I promised him I would survive. I promised him I would build a life worth missing. Worth missing. I pressed my hand to my mouth. This wasn't just a hidden baby photo. This was a secret adoption. But why had she never told anyone? Not even my father. That afternoon, I did something I wasn't sure was right. I searched the back of the journal for loose papers, and I found one, folded carefully, yellowed with age, an official document header barely visible. State of Oregon, voluntary relinquishment of parental rights. My hands shook. The mother's name, Clara Bennett. Her maiden name, date April 7th, 1963. Infant male. No father listed. I felt like the floor had vanished beneath me. Grandma had a son, before my grandfather, before the life we knew, and she gave him up. But the journal entry didn't sound ashamed. It sounded desperate, protective, sacrificial. That night at dinner, I placed the document and photo on the table. My father stared at them in silence. My aunt started crying immediately. Uncle Mark shook his head. She would have told us, he said. But would she? She grew up in a different era, a harsher one. Maybe Grandpa knew, my dad whispered. The possibility hung heavy. If he did, he kept her secret too. I couldn't stop thinking about the words on the back of that photo. My first reason to survive. Survive what? Poverty, abuse, abandonment, or something worse. 3 days later, a letter arrived. No return address. Just my name handwritten across the front. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed. If you found the photo, then she never told you. My pulse slammed against my ribs. She asked me not to reach out while she was alive. I dropped into a chair. But I think you deserve to know. I am the child in that photograph. The room went silent. My hands started shaking so badly the paper rattled. And she was the only reason I survived too. My vision blurred. He was alive. He found us. Or maybe he had always been watching from a distance. The letter ended with one line. There's more to her story than you were told. I looked at the photo again. Grandma's young face. Hopeful, terrified, holding a baby she loved enough to lose. And suddenly I understood something. The woman we thought we knew had built her entire life on top of a buried beginning, and that beginning was about to come back to us. He signed the letter with a name none of us recognized, and a phone number that made my hands shake. The name at the bottom read, Daniel Bennett, not Reed, not Carter, Bennett, Grandma's maiden name. He kept hers. I stared at the paper for a long time before dialing the number. My father stood across the kitchen, arms folded tightly. Put it on speaker, he said. I nodded. The phone rang twice. Then a man answered. Hello? His voice was deep, calm, careful. Is this Daniel? I asked. A pause. Yes. My name is Madison Reed. Silence. Then a soft exhale. I wondered if you would call. We agreed to meet 2 days later. Public place. Neutral ground. A small cafe near the river. I barely slept the night before. My mind kept replaying the image of Grandma holding him, young, scared, determined. What had she survived? What had he? When I walked into the cafe, I recognized him instantly. Not because I'd seen him before, but because he looked like her. The same eyes, the same tilt of the chin. He stood as I approached, tall, maybe mid-60s, older than my dad by a few years. He gave a small, unsure smile. Madison, I nodded. We sat. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something carefully folded. Another photograph. The same one I had found, but in better condition. She gave me this when I was 18, he said softly. My heart stopped. You met her? He nodded. Yes. The world tilted. She found me, he continued. Or rather, she hired someone to find me. When? 1981? That was years before I was born. Years before my father had married my mom. She waited until I was legally an adult, Daniel said. She didn't want to disrupt my adoptive family. Adoptive? So he had been placed, loved, raised, but still searching. Why did she give you up? I asked quietly. Daniel looked down at his coffee cup. She was 19, he said, unmarried, living in a boarding house. That much I could imagine, but that wasn't the main reason. He looked up at me then, and something in his eyes shifted. Her father, he said slowly, was violent. The word hit like glass. Violent. Grandma had never mentioned her father, ever. She left home when she was 17, Daniel continued. He didn't approve of the man she was seeing. The father, I asked. Daniel nodded. He disappeared when she told him she was pregnant. I felt anger rise in my chest for a man I would never meet. She tried to keep me, Daniel said, for almost a year. That stopped me. She didn't give you up at birth. He shook his head. No, she worked 2 jobs, lived in 1 room, slept maybe 3 hours a night. My throat tightened. She was barely surviving, he said gently, but she was trying. Then what changed? Daniel's jaw tightened. My grandfather found her. The room seemed to shrink again. He threatened to take me by force, Daniel said quietly. Said a bastard child would ruin the family name. The cruelty of it burned. She went to a lawyer the next day, Daniel continued. Arranged a private adoption. To a family out of state. To protect him. Not to erase him. To protect him. She wrote me letters every year, Daniel said. I blinked. What? She never sent them, he clarified. But she kept copies. The adoption agreement allowed contact after I turned 18. And when you did, she showed up with a box, he said. All the letters, every birthday, every Christmas. My eyes filled with tears. She didn't miss a single year, he added. I thought of Grandma at Christmas. The way she always paused for a moment before cutting the pie. The way she sometimes disappeared into her bedroom. For a few minutes during birthday parties, she wasn't overwhelmed. She was remembering. Why didn't she tell us? I asked. Daniel smiled sadly. She was afraid your father would feel replaced. That broke something inside me. She never wanted to divide her family, he said. She had already made one impossible choice. She didn't want another. Did Grandpa know? I asked carefully. Daniel nodded. Yes. Relief washed through me unexpectedly. He met me once, Daniel said. Told me he loved her before he knew about me, and he loved her after. I swallowed hard. He said her past made her stronger, not broken. Why contact us now? I asked. Daniel hesitated. Because she made me promise something. My heart pounded. What? If you ever found the photo, I was supposed to tell you the rest. The rest? He reached into his jacket again. This time he pulled out a sealed envelope, my name written in Grandma's handwriting. She gave me this last year, he said. Said the timing would make sense. My fingers trembled as I took it. Did she know she was dying? I whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. She didn't want the truth buried with her. Buried past, unburied truth. I opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a single letter. her handwriting steady. Madison, if you are reading this, then you have found Daniel. I was never ashamed of him. I was ashamed of the world that made me choose. Tears blurred the ink. I survived because of him. Every hard decision, every lonely year, every late shift. I endured because I had already proven I could survive the worst. My chest ached. You deserve to know that your grandmother was not always strong. She became strong. I looked up at Daniel. She wanted you to understand something, he said softly. What? That survival isn't weakness. The letter ended with one final line. There is still something you don't know. My heart skipped. Still? After all this? At the bottom was an address, an old property outside town, and 3 words, go there together. I looked at Daniel. He already knew. She kept something there, he said quietly. What? He shook his head. She wouldn't tell me. Said it belonged to all of you. The past wasn't done revealing itself. Not yet. And whatever waited at that address was the final piece of who she truly was. The address was 30 minutes outside the city, and none of us had ever heard of it. It was a small rural property tucked between overgrown trees and a rusted wire fence. Daniel drove. I sat in the passenger seat. My father followed behind us in his truck. No one spoke much during the drive. The air felt heavy, not with fear, but with anticipation. Grandma had been gone 3 weeks, and somehow we were still discovering her. The house was tiny. 1 bedroom, faded white paint, a porch that sagged slightly in the middle. It didn't look abandoned. It looked preserved, like time had paused there. Daniel turned off the engine. She brought me here once, he said quietly. When I asked, after she found me, she said this was the first place she ever felt safe. Safe. The word echoed. The key was exactly where the letter said it would be, taped beneath the 3rd porch board. My father found it. His hands trembled as he unlocked the door. It creaked open slowly. Dust motes floated in beams of sunlight streaming through thin curtains. The furniture was simple, but clean, maintained. Someone had been paying taxes on this place, keeping it intact. For decades, on the kitchen table sat a wooden box, centered, waiting. My breath caught. Daniel stepped inside slowly, like he was walking into a memory. My father followed. I closed the door behind us. The silence felt sacred. The box had no lock, just a lid. I lifted it carefully. Inside were dozens of envelopes, each labeled with a year. Every year after she gave Daniel up. My heart pounded. They're copies, Daniel whispered, of the letters she told you about. I picked one at random. I unfolded it gently. Dear Daniel, today you would be 24. I wonder if you still tilt your head when you laugh. I hope someone tells you you're worth loving. Tears fell before I could stop them. She wrote to him every year, even after she found him, even after she had a new family. She never stopped being his mother, but beneath the stack of letters was something else. A file, thicker, marked in bold handwriting. The truth? My pulse quickened. Daniel looked at me. This is what she wouldn't tell me, he said. I opened it slowly. Inside were hospital records, police reports, newspaper clippings, dated 1962. The headline on the first clipping made my breath hitch. Local teen escapes violent home father arrested. The name printed beneath it, Clara Bennett? Grandma. The article described a domestic incident. Her father, Harold Bennett, arrested for assault. Witnesses reported hearing screams. Police found Clara unconscious, pregnant, 6 months along. I felt the room spin. Daniel grabbed the back of a chair. She never told me this, he whispered. My father's face drained of color. He tried to kill her, he said softly. The police report confirmed it. Attempted strangulation, severe injuries. Grandma didn't just leave home because of shame. The letter ended with words that felt like a hand reaching through time. Do not judge the girl I was. Thank her. She kept us all alive. We stood there for a long time. 3 children, from 2 chapters of her life, connected by something deeper than secrecy. Connected by survival. Daniel finally spoke. She used to say something when I visited, he said softly. What I asked, that surviving isn't the same as hiding. He looked around the house. She wasn't hiding. She was protecting. We decided together to keep the house, not as a secret, but as a reminder, a place where the full truth of her life could breathe. That night back home, I placed the photograph on my desk. Grandma at 19, holding a baby, eyes fierce despite fear, my first reason to survive. Now I understood. He wasn't just her child. He was proof she could endure, and every life she built after that was built on that endurance. If this story moved you, if you believe the past deserves compassion, not judgment, If you believe survival is a form of strength, then don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who carries a buried chapter, and subscribe for more stories about hidden truths chosen, love, and the courage it takes to keep living.